So we've talked about the Blue Lagoon. The second very popular day trip itinerary, I would say the most popular day trip itinerary, is the Golden Circle. The Golden Circle is about a 150-mile loop drive going from Reykjavík into the Icelandic interior, connecting 3 major sites and lots of other smaller sites if you choose along the way. I would say if there's any one kind of must-do site, the quintessential Icelandic day trip, it would be the Golden Circle. I happen to like the South Coast, which we'll talk about next. I would say they're, to me, equally appealing for different reasons. Let me tell you what you would do on the Golden Circle if you decide to do this. This is 150 miles. It takes about a day. If you're in a hurry, you could do it in 6-7 hours. If you want to linger and have a meal along the way, it could be 8, 9, 10 hours, just to give you a sense. The first of the 3 main stops on the Golden Circle is this place. Now let's remember our Icelandic language lessons. The big P with a stick on the top is the TH sound, and the 2 L's are a TL sound. So this is pronounced Thingvellir. Thingvellir. It's often spelled in English with the TH, but it's not Thingvellir, it's Thingvellir, just to get you a little bit of a sense of the Icelandic language. Thingvellir is a great opportunity to learn a little bit more about the geology of Iceland. We've talked about how Iceland's kind of in the middle of nowhere between Europe and North America. However, it happens to sit right along the Mid-Atlantic Fault, which is technically the biggest mountain range in the world. It just happens to be under the Atlantic Ocean. This is where the North American and the Eurasian tectonic plates are pulling apart. And this is the reason why Iceland is so volcanically active. The fault between those 2 tectonic plates actually cuts right up through the middle of Iceland. So anytime you talk about volcanoes or thermal springs in Iceland, you're talking about something that's along this red line. Thingvellir is right here, for example. So one reason people like to go to Thingvellir is there's places where you can walk through chasms where you have the impression that you're literally walking between continents. It's a little more complicated than that, but essentially one side of this picture is North America, the other side of this picture is Europe. So for geological reasons, Thingvellir is very popular. It's also very popular for historical reasons. This is a very important place for the Icelanders because where this flag is, right here on this rock, is where, starting in the year 930, the Icelanders had a great assembly. So all the chieftains of all these widely scattered farms all over the desolate country of Iceland would come together once a year, have a big meeting, make important decisions about the future of their humble little country. It's called the Althing gathering. For that reason, Thingvellir is a very important national park and is sort of kind of the Constitution Hall for Icelanders. They consider it kind of the birthplace of their civilization. So if you're interested in the history of Iceland, that's another reason why this Thingvellir is great. Now we're going to continue along the Golden Circle. And by the way, I want to say it's not just the 3 big stops. It's all of the beautiful countryside you see in between. What's really remarkable about traveling in Iceland is you could be a half hour outside of Reykjavík, and you're in a landscape that looks like no human being has ever been there before. And the Golden Circle is a great chance to get out and really experience the Icelandic countryside. At one point, you're driving along a pipeline that's bringing superheated natural water from the plants out in the distant countryside all the way into downtown Reykjavík to come out of people's taps. So this gives you a sense of Iceland beyond the capital. And as you travel around, you'll stop off at a beautiful little lakefront, and here's another little geothermal plant just sort of hissing away. You'll see that all over the Icelandic countryside. The second big stop for the Golden Circle is a place called Geyser, and this is where English and other languages got the word geyser. But this was the original word in Icelandic to describe this sort of steaming, bubbling plain where you have a lot of hot water spurting around. And if you're at the plain in Geyser, you'll look over and you see a bunch of people standing in a big circle looking at a big hole that's kind of bubbling up. So you say there must be something about to happen, so you wait and get your camera ready, and sure enough, after about 10 minutes, it starts to bubble and boil, and the geyser shoots off. Now let me warn you, Old Faithful this ain't. It's not exactly every 10 minutes. It's about every 10 minutes. Here's another tip. Don't blink. Okay? The geyser doesn't last for very long. Have your camera ready. Make sure it didn't go to sleep while you were waiting, because otherwise you're waiting another 10 minutes for the next one. I would say geyser is not the main attraction. It's right on the way to some other sites. It's fun to stop off for 20 or 30 minutes and go for a walk and get a sense of this aspect of the Icelandic countryside. One of the stops I think that really is a highlight on the Golden Circle is the third major stop, and it's this waterfall, Goodfoss. And I would say there are 3 great waterfalls, my favorite 3 waterfalls in Iceland. This is the first one, Goodfoss. And as you can see from the parking lot, you walk down a trail, and you find yourself really immersed in this amazing landscape of a thundering waterfall. You feel the mist coming up out of this gorge and hitting you in the face. Really a dramatic waterfall experience. There are lots of other minor attractions also on the Golden Circle. So if you have a little bit more time, you can stop off and have a meal. You can stop off at a place like this. It's called Hewitt. It's a crater where you can get out of your car and walk around the lip of this really colorful crater. And there are also several thermal bathing opportunities as well on the Golden Circle. So in our Rick Steves Iceland guidebook, we've outlined 4 convenient thermal bathing opportunities you can fit into your Golden Circle trip if you have a little bit of extra time.